And hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now the whole situation with regard to Aston Villa banning Maccabi Tel Aviv fans still rumbles on. Of course, we're still getting a lot of reaction to this, and now West Midlands police video has emerged, basically him admitting, the chief constable admitting that there is two-tier policing depending on what religion you are. So he admits in this video that they meet with Muslim community leaders and agree how to police events. They also allow the community to quote-unquote police themselves. As stated, this is the same captured police force that banned Jewish fans from watching football. There's a lot to go over in today's video, but as always guys, please do hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for more. So, as stated, ladies and gentlemen, we've got this video here which we're going to watch first, and then as stated, we've got a lot more reaction that potentially the government are looking to ditch Islamophobia laws. So let's get into it.
A low-key, should we say, police presence, because I mean clearly your officers were there, but they were not visible, and yet there were an awful lot of people out and an awful lot of people who were armed with various weapons.
So we have really strong business and community relations, and because we were aware through intelligence that there was a potential protest through that misinformation yesterday, we had the opportunity to meet with community leaders, with business leaders prior to that event to kind of understand the style of policing that we needed to deliver during the course of that operation. So we knew that there was going to be a large amount of people out on that counter-protest. We knew who the vast majority of those people were. We'd had conversations in terms of what that was likely to look like, and so our policing response was commensurate to that intelligence and the information that we'd held with our partners and communities prior to that event taking place.
Even given there were so many of them clearly armed, I mean, would you do the same if it was an EDL type situation?
So we've policed in response to the intelligence that we received at that moment in time. What I would say is that the vast majority of people that attended that protest yesterday did so law-abidingly, and they did it with the right intentions. There were just a small minority of people that attended there and were intent on causing either criminality, disorder or fear within our communities. What we saw was a response from our communities where they were trying to kind of make sure that that was policed within themselves as well, and trying to deter people from taking part in that disorder. And as a result, we've been able to go on, gather that evidence, gather that information. We have made arrests. Well, we've made an arrest this afternoon. We continue to try and make arrests in terms of those people that were involved in those disorders yesterday.
So that's the same police force, of course, guys, that decided that it's deemed unsafe now. This is deemed unsafe now to, of course, bring Jews to a football game due to them not being able to guarantee their safety. And as you can see in these comments, craziest thing about this interview is that it was supposed to be a response to accusations of two-tier policing, which he defends by describing how they police an entirely two-tiered way. So if you're a part of an Islamic community, you'll be policed completely different. That's a chief constable essentially admitting it himself. Now we've got some more stuff of this guy. Of course, he's been hitting the headlines a lot recently as well about, you know, with what he's been saying. And remember, Ayub Khan stated that it's not about Jewish fans, but hooligans from the club. So as this user says, so is Mr. Khan going to protest every time a football club that has a history of violence amongst its fans to not be allowed to play Aston Villa? Very, very good point.
Let's not conflate the issue. This is not about the Jewish community. This is about hooligans. We've seen what's taken place in Amsterdam. The night before the match, the chanting, the vile racist chanting, the fact that there were no schools left in Gaza because there are no children left. Amsterdam Council have made a decision that they are not going to allow that team to enter their city. They've taken that stance based on what they have seen. I don't think many of these politicians have actually seen or are watching this in a very blinkered way, and there's no consistency in what they are saying. We need to be consistent. We need to be supporting our local authorities in the decisions they make. Let's not conflate the issue.
So yeah, as he stated here, it's nothing to do, it's to do with hooligans. Funny bloke. Interesting. Very much interesting. We've got this bit here as well with regard to a segment from Talk TV, where she essentially erupts at Islamists dictating to the police on how to operate in this country.
You know, folks, this is how it begins. The idea that you cannot have football fans from Israel coming to Birmingham for their own safety, these are the grievance politics and the narratives of the Islamists. Because when you look at the decision taken to ban away fans from going to Aston Villa, the supporters of Maccabi Tel Aviv, when you look at the provenance of that and realise it is a petition from an Islamist MP who thanks everybody for the support that he has got in making sure that these people are not welcome in Birmingham, when you look at the other independent Muslim vote MPs who aren't even trying to cover up the fact that they, frankly, despise Jews, then you have to worry. You have to worry that the West Midlands Police Force caved to this. You have to worry when you look at the demographics of Birmingham, 30% of whom, at least, are practising Muslims, that really what is going on in our second city, what is going on in towns and cities around the country, when the tail is wagging the dog, when an increasingly assertive, aggressive, barbaric, medieval ideology is making demands as if they run the place. It is not your country. You may live here, but you do not get to call the shots. And yet, they are.
Yeah, they are. It's clear. I mean, this chief constable literally just admitted it. So, it is happening. And then, of course, now you've got some news with regard to Islamophobia laws apparently being ditched by the government. Of course, the government are under a lot of pressure following this news with regard to Aston Villa. And again, they're doing everything in their power, so to speak, to try and overturn this. We haven't got an update on that as of yet, but let's have a look at potential plans to ditch the Islamophobia laws, which would be very good.
Insiders have said that apparently Britain is set to ditch plans for this new Islamophobia law. So, a proposal to introduce new laws to protect Muslims from hate in the UK, I'm quoting that now, has resulted in a behind-the-scenes move to quash an official definition of Islamophobia. Speaking to people inside the room during high-level meetings, the investigation by The National has found that ministers now believe introducing Islamophobia legislation risks reintroducing long-abolished laws on religious beliefs. Ah, right, yes, a blasphemy law, yes. There have been vigorous debates with senior government ranks about bringing in new laws, but the influential Morgan McSweeney, the Chief of Staff to Prime Minister Keir Starmer, is one of those who has come out in opposition. So do you think Chloe Labour's moving in the right direction on this or not?
I mean, it seems like this is a very positive consequence of Angela Rayner losing her job, or resigning rather, because it seems like Steve Reed, her successor, is one of the ones who is firmly against this move. And maybe they're moving in the right direction because they are realising that their failure to uphold free speech in this country is actually really frustrating the public, amongst other issues like not sorting immigration out. But maybe they're starting to wake up to a few things.
Well, being slightly cynical, I would say that now Labour are being attacked from the flank of their Muslim vote, which they courted for a very, very long period of time, it might not be in their best interest to introduce a new Islamophobia definition, because they might find themselves falling foul of that if they wanted to in any way be critical of some of the tactics that could be used at the next election.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. And we've seen examples of that, haven't we, where when Jess Phillips, for instance, was heckled at her when there was the count at the last election, and she was sort of heckled quite badly, and then she was asked about it afterwards and sort of didn't really, if I remember rightly, condemn it massively as the misogyny I think that it was at the time, because there were worries that it was a certain element of her constituency. I replied to this consultation, and I very, very rarely reply to consultations. I replied to this one, and I replied to one about bins in my neighbourhood.
Right.
I'll spare you the bin story, but I did, because I felt really strongly about the fact that this was wrong, that we should be able to criticise the fact that people's religious ideology, religious opinions, as long as it doesn't stray into hate. And I hate the fact that even the consultation itself, if I remember rightly, conflated race with someone's being because you're not racist if you criticise Islam. You're allowed to criticise a religious belief.
Yeah,
without
I mean there might be
crossing
physical
into racism.
consequences for doing that, of course, but there we go. But Lord Walney's a former member of your parish, isn't he? In Labour and Peter Barrow, I think he was, wasn't he? Now says that defining a law within government as Islamophobia is a big mistake, he says.
Look, definitions can be helpful. We have a definition of anti-Semitism, but that is a definition of what it is to be anti-Semitic. What we were talking about here was Islamophobia. That is, I mean, if you go back to its roots, that is a fear of Islam. Now, I don't know how you equate Islamophobia with anti-Semitism. It's not the same as anti-Islamism or anti-Muslim.
Or anti-Muslim hate, anti-Muslim hate.
So there are laws against hatred that is motivated by racial crime and that is likely to incite. So I think there needed to be a much more careful look at what this supposed definition was trying to do.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that I haven't heard a good explanation of that.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we knew what it was there to do. It was clear as day, so you couldn't criticise religion. So at least, of course, people are waking up with regard to this. But yeah, guys, as always, do let me know your thoughts on what we've discussed in today's video. Please do hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for more. And I'll see you all next time. Take care. Peace.